everybody, I'm Missi Matthews. He's Mike Prisuta. We are outside the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. Week 1 of OTAs are in the books, and it feels good to be back out here. The weather has cooperated, and of course, Kenny Pickett, knowing where he stands and taking all those first-team reps, just a new look to this offense and guys who have been working together throughout this offseason.
And a new feel, right? I mean, a lot of excitement about the draft, a lot of excitement about free agency, and now a lot of excitement about OTAs. It almost feels like a new team, but recognizable, starting with Kenny Pickett, as you referenced, Missy. One thing he said this week that really got my attention was talking about how far ahead he perceives the offense to be than it was a season ago. As Pickett put it, it's a different team, not just in terms of players, but how much we already have installed. He thinks this was on Tuesday, he talked the first day. He said 5 or 6 installations as opposed to 1 or 2 last year. That screams that they're further along, does it not?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, too, the way they ended last season, the 2022 season, you could tell how disappointed the guys on the offense were that the ride stopped. They felt like they were finally clicking, and then you have to go into the offseason, unfortunately. But, you know, Kenny Pickett also added some weight to him, knowing he has to withstand a 18-week season, preseason games as well. So good to see. And as I said, they've been working together throughout the offseason down in Florida, getting the skill guys involved, and hopefully that's something that can help them, you know, jumpstart this year too for Kenny.
You know, and something else that might help Kenny along is Mitch Trubisky being the backup. Now, he was under contract for 1 more season, but Trubisky ends up signing a 2-year extension, and Mason Rudolph comes back as the number 3. And Trubisky, I thought, did a great job of explaining the unique dynamic they have in that quarterback room, how all 3 of those guys, they all want the same job, but they're all willing to help one another get better because they know that will help the Steelers. As Trubisky put it, it's just a great dynamic on the team. When you just have that chemistry, the honest conversations are easier to have, and we just go in there and be ourselves. We all want the same thing, the Pittsburgh Steelers to win and for ourselves to be the best they can be. And Kenny Pickett's been very upfront about how helpful Trubisky was. Trubisky said he's more than willing to keep doing that. To have the 1 through 3 that the Steelers have, running it back, as the kids like to say, I think it's a big advantage going into this season.
In terms of some of the skill players, we heard from Diontae Johnson this week, and obviously coming off 2022, having the mindset of, I want to be all pro, I want to go to the Pro Bowl, 1,000 yards, the catches. You're also hearing that from George Pickens and guys that are surrounding Kenny and will hopefully help him as they continue.
Yeah, Diontae Johnson's a real interesting guy. Obviously, last year did not go the way he or the Steelers wanted it to. Just as obviously there were factors in there beyond just Diontae Johnson. But Missy, 20 touchdowns in 4 seasons, and the progression is 5, 7, 8, and none. Which one do you think's the outlier?
Right.
He's going to find the end zone. He's going to be highly productive. And I kind of like that he came out and put that pressure on himself. Say, hey, I want to be all pro. What do you want to hear him say? Hey, I'd like to be okay. I mean, why not?
Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball, and Alex Highsmith is going through that contract situation that we've seen over the past few years with various players like TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, but he decided he wanted to come here. As he told me, he's underdog mentality. He had to be a walk-on in college. He wants to put in the work, and he is optimistic that a deal will get done. Yeah,
and you know, recent history gives cause for that optimism. The Steelers have gone through this in recent seasons in no particular order with TJ Watt, with Minkah Fitzpatrick, with Cam Hayward. TJ Watt just got out of the locker room a few minutes ago. He was talking about that. He was asked about it, and he said, if I'm asked, I'll tell them what I think, but I don't just give contract advice. That's up to everybody to figure it out as they see fit. But I don't think there's any reason to suspect anything will happen with Alex Highsmith other than he's going to be playing for the Steelers this year.
As you mentioned, TJ Watt here, Cam Hayward and Larry Ogunjobi, you had that confirmed today as well. But Patrick Peterson, one of the new additions on the defensive side of the ball, it's been interesting to see, you know, a future Hall of Famer, a vet guy, come in with this group. And he wanted to be a mentor, and sure enough, they drafted some guys that he can help lead.
Yeah, a lot going on defensively as well. Cam talking about today how excited he was to see Larry Ogunjobi here at OTAs. And he also looked back at last year, Larry Ogunjobi's first season with the team, and he was injured and, you know, played a lot but didn't practice. Cam Hayward is expecting a lot more from Ogunjobi. He expects him to be healthier, and Cam thinks that just being in the same environment for a second year in a row is going to be really beneficial. Now we might really see Ogunjobi take off. As for Peterson, it's been a lot of turnover on the back end, right? The significant additions, significant deletions. A lot of guys who played a lot of snaps are not here anymore. So where does Patrick Peterson play? He said right now it's at cornerback, but Peterson said that Mike Tomlin has told him that there are aspirations to kind of move him all over the place. And Peterson very excited to see when that might happen and what it might look like. And I am too, because I think a guy with his years in the league and the track record that he has, he's probably not the all-pro corner anymore that he was, but he's a guy who can use his experience to break down an offense and go find the ball and go get it. Move them around and keep those quarterbacks guessing, Missy.
All right, well, there's a lot more to cover. This was week 1. Week 2 kicks off after Memorial Day, and we'll be back with another Sideline Report. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for joining us.